for the Mexican Grand Prix. This is Co-Racing League for Tier 3 on Monday evenings, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, which is Glowstick.
Hello, I am Glowstick.
Nice to have you here, mate, and it's your first appearance here in Co-Racing League, so you're not really known what's happened in the past few races, but in the last race we had at the Austria Grand Prix, we had Jay Hartnell who won after a fantastic drive, keeping the medium runners behind after a late safety car came out. He was on the hard compound tyres, the rest behind were on the medium compound tyres, and he held them off as well, and he took the victory. Defending for Veloci Elb Jr., who was on a late charge, so that was a great drive from him. And Mazel's finished in second place because I think Veloci Elb Jr. picked up a 10-second time penalty for cutting the corner when he ran out of fuel, and unfortunately lost a lot of places. And we're on for one-shot qualifying then, because it is the sprint, so let's go on board then with... Let's see. I'm going to stay on board with Mazel's because it was the first car that I picked. So, approaching this very long straight then, round about 330 kilometers an hour, about 207 miles an hour down the straight, hitting the first corner then, braking just before the 50-meter board, hits that inside curb as KXI's got disqualified already, and that's before turn number 1 then, so I don't know what he's doing. As we make our way coming out of turn number 3 then, good exit there from Mazel's, DRS enabled then, he's currently sat in P9 at the moment, so he needs to find a lot of time as Dragon of Speed then takes it away, as we make our way down into turn number 4 then in second gear, up into third and up into fourth, back down through the gears then in these slow speed corners. Very important to be very patient on the throttle here, as traction is very easy to lose, and using all the exit coming out of turn number 6 then, headed into the S's. Looks like Mazel's taking this cautiously because you only get one shot here and you don't want to make mistakes whatsoever, but if you do make mistakes here in one shot qualifying, you've got the sprint race to make it back up. Now coming out of the S's then with the DRS enabled on this third straight, short straight, heading down then into the next right-hander, flick it in, went a bit wide through there, a little bit of understeer, he's up into P3, so he found a bit of time in this middle sector there, but what can he do in this last sector? Up through the gears there, making our way through the slow speed corners, and let's see then where Mazel's rounds off his lap time, heading around the final corner. George Hargreaves is on provisional pole, Leon is second place, ahead of Mazel's, Mays up into P4, ahead of Craig Ross, J.R. Mason 54, very good qualifying from him, as we got 5 drivers, and our championship leader down in P15 has been disqualified then, so both Alpha males there on the back foot, with Nacho, J Hartnell and KXI who got disqualified first, based up into P13 then.
Yeah, I was watching on the onboard of Harry there. He looked like he was on a really good lap. He was in P4 before he ran a little bit too wide at turn, I think that is turn 15. He ran a little bit wide, trying to get a good exit for turn 16, and unfortunately got disqualified or invalidated his lap.
Ferguson and Chris down there did set lap times, but not representative then, but at least they set a lap times so they could put themselves further ahead of the drivers that's been disqualified then, so it's important to finish off your lap times. We saw Dragon of Speed there quickest in the first sector, but we know his straight line speed is amazing, evidently in the last few races as well. He always tends to go for low downforce settles, but might have struggled somewhere in that middle and last sector, hence why he got put down in the order, whereas everybody else capitalised and evened it out with the balance of the car. Mays, however, in P4 didn't have a good qualifying or race back at the Austrian Grand Prix last week, but has put his McLaren into P4 then with his teammate MKP in P8. McLarens have had 2 wins in a row this season at Singapore and Bahrain. One came from MKP and the other one came from Quickcolor, who made a one race appearance and took the victory that race as well from starting in last place, but he's not here tonight. But Mays is the highest McLaren, and Mazel's in P2 of the championship, crucially out qualifying little one down in P15 then, so we head off into the race. George Hargreaves, by the way, Glowstick, he's going for his 4 chances he's had winning a race. Now it's his 5th chance, because the last 4 chances of winning a race he blew it all. I remember back in the USA Grand Prix when he was leading, he sped under the safety car, cost him chance of victory. And then came the Austrian Grand Prix, pitted with like 4 laps to go under a safety car, dropped down the order and lost the Grand Prix. Bahrain, he made contact with little one. It wasn't his fault, but unfortunately lost the race victory there and the podium. And in Singapore, he was impatient. Now he's going for his 4th chance or 5th chance of winning a Grand Prix.
Well, basically we gotta hope he gets it, because he's had so many chances, according to you, and I hope he gets it, to be honest. If he's had so many chances at winning a race, then you got to think it's about time he gets it.
Indeed. Hopefully, lessons learned in the past few races for him to try and claim a victory, because it's been bad luck here, him speeding under a safety car, being impatient, and wrong strategy calls. All three of them caused him to lose victory. And the previous 4 times he's had chances of winning a race, now it's his 5th chance for winning a race in Mexico. Hopefully he can put it all together this time and not make any mistakes. He's in P1, but glow stick, P1's not the best start, not the best place to start, is it, here in Mexico?
I wouldn't think that. No, I would think 3rd is probably the best place to start, because you're getting the slipstream and you're on the clean side of the road. So I would think 3rd is probably the best for the slipstream and for the clean part of the track.
I agree, because in the previous races 3rd place has got a good chance of getting a good slipstream down this straight, pull to the left hand side, and we saw Max Verstappen do it. He started 3rd place back in the 2021 Mexican Grand Prix. Both Mercedes out-qualified him. Verstappen there got a very good launch and he went around the outside. Maybe Bottas should have went left a bit more to defend from Verstappen, but he actually spun because of Ricardo and drops the back of the field. Then Verstappen went on to win that Grand Prix with Hamilton in P2 and Perez in P3. We saw that long race as well back in 2017 where contact can be made at turn 2 and turn 3. Verstappen, Vettel and Hamilton getting it all wrong down there, and it cost Hamilton a chance of victory. Vettel cost him a lot of points. I can't remember what year it was, in 2017 or 18, one of those 2 Grand Prix, because Red Bull have been very good around here back in 2017 and 18. I think Verstappen won on both occasions, and Vettel, Raikkonen and the rest of them couldn't catch him up. And Ricardo actually took pole here back in 2018, but unfortunately his engine blew, because back in 2018 it was a horrifying season for Ricardo with his reliability issues and dropping out of the lead. I think he got overtaken by Verstappen at the first corner. Then after that, reliability kicked in and caused him to retire. But however, everybody on the medium compound tyres, unsurprisingly, nobody on the softs because they would die instantly within a few laps. Tyre wear is high around here. Everybody in the medium tyres, and we're about to see then what will happen around here in Mexico City.
Yep, hoping for 2 exciting races here. Of course, Mexico is quite a, say a hectic track. I don't know what these guys' driving standards is. I've never really watched Tier 3, or many of the tiers, to be honest. Maybe I should. But, yeah, I'm hoping for an exciting race here, and I hope the lads put on a show for my first appearance.
They always do. We've had some thrilling races here in Co-Racer League for Tier 3. I'm about to see some more action then, as all the drivers lined up on the grid just waiting the lights to go out, and it's quite a far distance. There we go then, lights out for the Mexican Grand Prix. George Hargreaves gets away really well, but Mazel's there, gets a lovely launch. He is right behind George as we make our way down this straight, the very long straight. He's going to pull to the left hand side. George has the inside line, Mazel's on the outside, 3 abreast with both Alpines and the Aston Martin there going side by side then, and looks like Leon there stays in P3. He's only lost 1 place towards Mazel's then, under pressure from his teammate and Crago. Crago's made up a place. Both Red Bulls there as well in the mix. We've got Ferguson right behind Ross with the McLaren in the background there, looking to make his way through. The Aston Martin dragging on speed then, looking away down the inside, but there's a McLaren there trying to go in the middle, which never works. 3 abreast, don't want to do that. J.R. Mason then gets put into a cute angle into this corner here, didn't get the best of exits, and therefore loses a place then. Little One has got past Mays. Little One, what an amazing start. We can see a Red Bull there. Ferguson going wide in the S's, gets back on the track immediately then, so he stays in P6 for the time being, but looks like he's losing a bit of a little bit of time in the S's. Looks like he's struggling just a bit on downforce. Maybe the cold tyres as well have an effect on that one. But what's happened there, mate?
Juan hit the back of Ferguson. He's got front wing damage as well.
Oh, huge consequences then in this race for Little One, and he will peel off, not in the pit lane, so I think it's just a sprint race, so I don't think he'll do that. He'll try to stick it out while a safety car might make an appearance then, but not ideal for Little One then. Hits the back of Ferguson. He just got past Mays. Mays has just re-overtaken him. Was Little One a bit impatient there? Now he's going side by side with Mays again. and he overtakes him once again to move himself up into P7. But with the lack of downforce, expect him to struggle in that middle sector. And we can see a few battles going on down there for the last few paid positions, as KXI was another one who struggled. But Dragon on Speed is in the wall, and he's going to lose a few positions now. May drop towards the back of the field. There's a crash!
What happened there? MKP out of the race. I don't know what happened there, but it looked like maybe an AlphaTauri was involved with that. Maybe JR or KXI. I have no idea what happened there.
Me neither, mate. I think JR Mason was involved. I saw, when I was on board with Dragon on Speed, in the foreground, I saw both cars in the war there, so maybe they went side by side. Maybe one of them just lost traction and unfortunately collided in the wall. So MKP will be starting last in the feature race, and that's cost him huge amount of well, we know he's got a good pace. He started inside the top 10, did MKP. Yeah, he did actually. So he finds himself down there in 17th place and last, unfortunately. Maybe Little One might go for a pit stop now, change that front wing, because he won't lose a lot of time. If he doesn't, he should do come in the pit lane. And he gets a drive-through penalty. It was actually a virtual safety car. So he gets a drive-through penalty, then he's going to lose a huge amount of time now, having to serve a penalty. So he's going to come back nowhere unless the safety car comes out later. But Ross then, right to the back of Krager. One Aston Martin having a good race. The other one struggling down there in P13. Two drivers in the pit lane, as you expect, because they both made contact on different parts of the track, because I think Little One hit the back of Ferguson, and JR Mason made contact or had a problem with MKP. I'm not quite sure what happened, but I did see both of them in the war. But as they were, then the top three remain. George Hargreaves leaves ahead of Mazzles in P2. Mazzles, last time it came to a sprint race, it was him who took victory. I think it was in the Monaco Grand Prix, because I made an appearance after Monaco. That's when I first started commentating full time for Tier 3, but looks like JR Mason's there had a problem with that pit lane. He's quite slow, so hopefully he can get going once again and see what he could do there. Maybe the safety car will help him, but DRS now is enabled to help these drivers overtake each other.
Yep, DRS is enabled. I was going to say at the start of the race, Little One, what a start for him. Starting from 15th, obviously, made it to 7th before he unfortunately had the contact with Ferguson. But Ferguson also a brilliant start from 11th up to 6th now. Apart from that, nothing else happened, but I did notice Nacho spinning at the exit of turn 15. I don't think he got any damage, but and after the virtual safety car ended, I noticed he spun and was in the wall a little bit.
Thank you for that insight, glow stick there. And whilst you were talking, there were battles going on the track between KXI, Harry Palmer, Ross versus Krager. Actually, Ross, despite having the inside line, Krager swooped him around the outside and stayed ahead of him for P4, so those two had a battle there. Krager not having the benefits of DRS there, and I think George Hargreaves just extended coming out of that corner there, so gotta watch out. Track limits here can be very brutal around this track, especially that middle sector there where you're having to go full speed and try and use all the track you can without going off it to exceed it, but you gotta watch out for that one. We saw Chris versus KXI and Harry Palmer having a battle down there for turn number 1. Harry Palmer tried to move on KXI, but KXI defended the inside line, also having the benefits of DRS there, so essentially carrying the same speed down the straight, as they both got a good amount of ERS in their disposal. We've got Ross then making a move as May sets the fastest lap of the race down in P7 there, showing some pace in the McLaren. He's had a poor start as May started P4, down into P7. I'm not quite sure what happened to him early on in the race, but we'll find out eventually. But you can see Chris is under big pressure now from KXI and Harry Palmer. KXI might fancy a move into turn number 1. Does he dare go for it? I think Chris has the upper hand as Little One spun once again then, but can KXI get a decent exit coming out of turn number 3 now? Use the DRS to his advantage to try and get him into P8 ahead of turn 4. No, he can't, so he stays behind. Harry Palmer might be frustrated by this. Maybe KXI played it wise by using the DRS off the back of the Williams and keeping the Alfa Romeo at bay for the time being, maybe attacking him later on in the race to secure P8, because they're quite further behind. Jay Hartnell versus Dragon on speed there, and Jay Hartnell just gets ahead of Dragon, moves himself up into P11. We heard that both Red Bulls, as JR Mason has retired in the pit lane then, so unfortunately for him, will not score any points or finish high inside the top 10, and that's his chances ruined then. But he could wait for the feature race to see what happens, because he finished inside the top 10 last 2 races. The Gerald Mason did a reserve driver, but unfortunately this track is proven difficulty around here. And Mazel's once again right behind George Hargreaves, not going for it, but he knows he's got to stay behind him so he can gain the ERS and overtake him later on in the race.
Yeah, Mazel's Willie have a good launch. It looks like Hargreaves, did you say his name was? I'm sorry if I'm butchering that.
His name's George Hargreaves.
Hargreaves, there we go. It looks like he's got a little bit of a lower downforce compared to Mazel's. But as we see KXI going down the inside of Harry Palmer there. I don't know if... And then Harry Palmer's back on the inside, trying to make a move back on him. Let's see what happens. Harry trying to go around the outside. This side's back out. Smart move from Harry there.
Yeah, Harry Palmer wide enough not to go side by side through the middle sector, because you know it's very difficult, especially if you're not even side by side. But Harry Palmer wise not to make contact. But the thing is though, they've lost the DRS train now towards Chris, so that's cost them a lot of time, them going side by side. And now KXI is left exposed towards Harry Palmer, because he was hoping to use the DRS at the back of Chris to keep Harry Palmer at bay for the time being. But now Harry Palmer has dropped KXI out of Chris's DRS. This could be easy for Harry Palmer now, not having to be suffering that DRS train. As you can see, KXI weaving to get Harry Palmer out of his slipstream. But will he try and move or wait for turn number 4? Try and set himself coming out of turn number 3 to get a good exit, but as you can see they're too far behind to do so, and I think KXI will keep that position for the time being then. So on lap 7 out of 12, can KXI, well, he's actually 1 second just in the DRS range, almost just hovering around 9/10 or 1 second then. So it looks like KXI, despite dropping out of it, has got the pace to claw his way back towards Chris's DRS. And it's the main race that matters, says MKP. Yeah, it is, mate, but at the same time, use this sprint race to gain as many positions as you can to set yourself up for the feature race. I know it's not ideal starting at the P17, but anything could happen around here with safety cars, plus heavy fuel as well, and plus more than 1 pit stops with strategy cars. So yeah, everything to play for the feature race. But in the sprint race, you want to be making as many positions as you can. And also for the top guys, Glowstick, I think they're not fighting too hard because they know they've got everything to lose being at the top there, and not wanted to maybe spin out and make contact with each other for the feature race. So maybe they're playing it safe at the time being and actually go for it in the feature race, because you can know there's a lot to lose in this sprint race.
That's a possibility, but yeah, I agree with that. As I've just noticed that Roland has unfortunately gotten a 3-second time penalty for track limits. But Little One, 53 seconds behind him. I don't think he's got to worry about that much, to be honest.
Yeah, Little One there down in P15, suffering with damage after making contact with Ferguson, who's got Mays right behind him, just creeping with 1.3 seconds behind his Mays. He had a very good qualifying session, but in the race he lost a few positions, maybe getting swallowed up by the pack, because we did see a few cars go 3 abreast on that straight before they sort themselves out after lap 1. But Leon there in P3, both Alpines doing very well here, and Ross has won a race as well this season. But Leon, Ross is trying to take P3 away from Dragon Speed, who's down in P12. Dragon Speed as well has a very decent season, on and off few races like everybody around here, except Little One, because he's been very consistent. But saying that, though, he's down in P15 right now, maybe he could make it up for the race, because remember in Austria he had that spin, came back to finish in P3, and here comes Mazel's then. When does he make the move? Is it lap 11 or lap 12? Penultimate lap when he wants to do it, or lap 12? We'll find out eventually when Mazel's decides to pull the trigger on George Hargreaves. George Hargreaves hasn't got a lot of ERS to play with here to keep Mazel's at base, so I wonder what he's going to try and do then, to try and keep Mazel's behind. Very frustrated is George Hargreaves not to pull away from Mazzles, but Mazzles there just saving the ERS then, waiting for the last lap attack potentially on George then. So George's going to watch out for that one. He knows what Mazzles' endgame is. With Craigo still putting pressure there on Ross, so Ross then still hasn't dispatched Craigo as he would have wanted because he overtook him a few laps ago, but Craigo there still in his DRS range then. With KXR, Nacho's got a 3-second time penalty, unfortunately for him. Nacho there suffering 3 retirements in a row. He's hoping to gain some points. He's down in P13, so no points rewarded for that one, I'm afraid. But Mazzles there, second in the championship, will gain a few points here to close down the deficit between himself and Little One then. So this is going to play into his hands, having the upper hand in the sprint race and the feature race as well in terms of his starting position. So let's see if he can close that gap down then with Little One at a disadvantage so far, down in P15 where he'll stay. I don't think no safety cars will help him now unless someone else spins out and can move up a few positions. However though, it's lap 10 out of 12. Let's see if Mazzles then, he's very close, but as we all know, he's not going to go for it. Craigo is.
Yep, Craigo just zooming past Ross there. Obviously Craigo must be using a lower downforce setup, and obviously because of the detection point in the straight he'll get DRS as well, so extending the gap to maybe 9 tenths after this corner. Yep, and Leon, a 3-second time penalty.
Might cost him, but Craigo is 4 seconds behind there, so Leon best hope that Craigo doesn't pull, now he's overtaken Ross, doesn't close that gap down then, so he's got 1.1 second advantage, has Leon. All he's got to do now is not make any mistakes and try and keep that gap as it is, otherwise he'll lose their place. And Ross himself has got a 3-second time penalty. I just saw somebody going wide out of there, but Ross is in the middle sector, just coming to the end of it, so he must have made a mistake in that middle sector. But Mazzles there, 1 second behind, and we've got a spinner too. Oh, that's an Alpine! Oh, that's Ross who's going for a spin!
No, it's Leon.
Sorry, Leon,
it's Leon
that's gone for Ross.
Spin. And KXI has gotten a 3-second time penalty as well.
Wait, what's happened to Mazzles? Mazzles is stuck in 4th gear. Has he got a gearbox problem? He can't upshift. Mazzles there. What's happened? Can he change gear? No, he can't. Mazzles is going to drop down the order. Maybe his wheel's disconnected. Oh dear, what a shame there for Mazzles. I did see the gap fall down to 2.5 seconds, but you don't want to do that because you get a 10-second time penalty. So thankfully he didn't because he wasn't going full speed. But he's stuck in 4th gear. He gets a 5-second time penalty for corner cutting. Oh dear, Mazzles, the amount of bad luck he's had with internet connection issues there. Now sustained a potential gearbox problem. And now he can't upshift or downshift. He's stuck there. Maybe a hydraulic problem too. But he's got 2 laps to go. Mazzles! Oh, don't do that, mate. You got a 10 seconds. Oh, George! Oh! George Hargreaves has crashed out of the race! Oh my goodness me! The end of this race has become so dramatic with the Mercedes there crashing out. And now we've got a Haas who's fallen down the order due to potential gearbox problem. Oh, George, man. Every time he has a chance of winning a race, something just goes wrong. And now it's just towards the end of it. All he had to do was keep it nice and clean. There was no need to push because the guys were so far behind. But he had to go put it in the wall, did George.
That's unlucky from George, but it seems now Mazzles has gone into AI mode, I think. And I think maybe his wheel has disconnected. I'm not sure. But he looks to get up to speed now. I'm not 100% sure though.
Mazzles, unfortunate for him, didn't do anything wrong. He was lucky to take away the lead from George, but he must be frustrated now. George has crashed and his wheel's disconnected because
Harry Palmer's just spun out Christopher.
Oh dear. What's Harry Palmer done? And I think Chris has just lost 1 place because he was in 8th. So Harry Palmer there takes 8th away from Chris, but as a result spins out his rival. However, we're on the last lap of the race here. Craigo will become the race winner now. He doesn't have to worry because both Alpines have a penalty, and both Alpines might stay on the podium here because Ferguson's 3.2. Can Ferguson get a podium? He's 3.2 away. He needs to find 2 more tenths in this middle sector. Can he do that though? I'm not quite sure. But here comes Craigo, coming towards the penultimate corner now. I bet he didn't expect to win this Grand Prix, but a Red Bull spun. Here comes Craigo to win the sprint ahead of Ross and Leon in P3. But will Ferguson close down his 2.9? And Ferguson gets P3. He found 4/10 in that last sector there and takes P3 away. What a drive there as Mazzles gets a 5-second time penalty for his troubles as well. What a dismal, what an unlucky way to finish here at Mexico. Not his fault whatsoever. But George Hargreaves though, oh what a shame for him. He's got the pace evidently. Can he show it in the race? But the thing is though, Little One and George will start next to each other, and that's always interesting because they seem always to come into contact with each other every time they're close. Mind you, they had a good battle at Austria, but what will happen then? It's going to be a comeback drive between George and Little One.
Yep, that's really unfortunate for George. He must be gutted with that. But here's the grid rundown, if I'm allowed to do that.
Yeah, sure. You can do anything.
Alright, got Craigo with a really nice win after Mazzles' unfortunate. We don't know what happened with Mazzles, but unfortunate for him, and obviously George's retirement. Ross in second. Ferguson, after because of penalties, gets third. Leon with fourth. Fifth is Mays. Sixth, Harry Palmer, also got driver of the day. KXI in seventh. Christoph in eighth, after getting spun by Harry, as I saw. Mazzles in ninth. 10th, Dragon on speed. Jay Hartnell in 11th. 12th, that Roland. 13th is Nacho. 14th, Juan and George. Mason and MKP, I can't speak. Not managing to finish.
It's alright, mate. It took me a long time to figure out MKP's name, despite 3 letters. But yeah, the only one that struggled on MKP's name. You should have heard me. I called him MKP or MKP or MKP, whatever it is. I pronounced it 3 different ways, basically.
Yeah, as we're just waiting for the drivers to advance to the next session, I think.
So the top 2 drivers who were leading majority of the race had problems of their own. George by a driver error and Mazzles due to a faulty wheel. So 2 different problems there for the drivers. Mazzles and George had really good pace. Can they show it into the actual feature race then? So we're about to find out, but the sprint race is over. It was very interesting, and Craigo takes his second win then after winning the China. So can he reclaim another win here in Mexico City? His consistency has been fine this season. Can he keep it up though? Dragon on speed, however, down in P10, so he did claim, well, I don't think he scored any points. He's into 10th place because he only goes up to 8th, but he's third in the championship, and he needs to gain a lot of points to keep his rivals behind, because his closest rival is Veloci Elb Jr., which is not here. So Ross will gain a lot of points in this sprint race, and he's ahead of Dragon of Speed in this race. So he needs to make sure that Ross doesn't get ahead. But Ross has got a big chance of scoring big points here tonight. Maybe a race win, but we did see him pick up a 3-second time penalty in the sprint race. Got to make sure he doesn't do it in the feature race.
Yeah, he's gotta make sure not to do that. It will be a very difficult drive, I reckon, for Juan and George. Of course, both of them having problems of their own. So I would like to wonder how far up the grid they'll make it. Maybe they'll finish in the top half of the points, like 5th onwards. Maybe one of them will win, maybe one of them will get a podium. Who knows? It's Cone Racing League.
Anything could happen in Cone Racing League. We've seen plenty of safety cars, even at tracks you don't predict. But thankfully, the session is coming to an end then. And we're about to go into the feature race then. So George desperately needs a good result, because he's had 4 previous attempts of winning the Grand Prix, and now he's binned it once again, put himself in a big disadvantage. and he starts next to the little one. But George, they're risking it too much. Maybe he felt too comfortable. Maybe he wasn't paying enough attention, and therefore just got caught him out a little bit with a spin. But yeah, gotta pay attention all times here, especially on this game where the back of the car can easily snap out on you. It was in the middle sector as well, so I'm not surprised. But Mazzles should be okay, because he says in the Discord chat he's back. So whatever problems Mazzles has, hopefully they fix themselves, and we could get racing once to go, because I know his internet connection issues have let him down previously, cost him a huge amount of points as well. Actually got disqualified because his AI did the whole race on one set of tyres, and that was back in the Dutch Grand Prix. We did 0 stops, and unfortunately got disqualified, not to his own fault of course, but he sorted out his internet connection issues. Now he's got to fix his wheel because he was stuck in 4th gear. So Mazzles is back, and we're about to go into the feature race for the 36 lap race then. Is it a 1-stop or 2-stop, glow stick?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. It could be... It might be a 1-stop, maybe hards to mediums or medium to hards. Or maybe it could be a 2-stop where people will be like struggling for tire grip towards the end of their first stint or towards the end of their second stint. Might need a pit for mediums or softs.
We did see a virtual safety car pin in that race, but now we're heading into the feature race with full distance, so therefore heavy fuel and a lot of pressure ramping up now, and we're about to see then who could sustain that pressure. George Hargreaves though might be the one to cause the safety car after crashing out in that middle sector, but Colin R. Mason says Dad had orange rear wing and floor damage and had to retire. But he had a hefty impact in the wall, so yeah, there's no point driving around with damaged floor because you can't get anything from it, so he had to retire. But hopefully he's finished in the top 10 in the last 2 races, so can he do it for the 3rd time in a row? J.R. Mason doing a really good job in the AlphaTauri, scoring points for them. Can he do it for the 3rd time in a row?
Maybe so, but as we start the formation lap, and the predicted pit stop is hard as mediums or soft medium I think I saw there. That's very interesting. So yeah, it could be either a 1-stop, or if people are feeling risky, they might go for the 2-stop.
Well, I dare say a 2-stop for the likes of Ferguson, Mays and Dat Roller, because they've opted to go with the soft compound tyres then. So a short stint to the beginning of the Grand Prix for those guys on the softs. It's going to be a definite 2-stop, go for full speed on those soft compound tyres. Jay Hartnell and J.R. Mason, both in the Red Bull and AlphaTauri, decided to go for the mediums then, so they want to get a good start off the line with their hard competitors just in front of them, the likes of George Hargreaves, Little One and Nacho. But it should be an interesting race, this one. Little One and George Hargreaves there got good pace, and we know that George Hargreaves' consistency and planning hasn't gone well for him so far, but him starting down there in P15, what can he do from the back of the grid? Softs have got to make massive progress early on for this to work. Yep, I agree with that one, because the softs will die out in about 7 or 8 laps time then, so they've got to make big progress, especially Ferguson, because he's 2 steps softer than the Harvarders in P1 and P2 then, so it's pivotal for him to get a really good launch off the line. You agree there, Glowstick?
That is true. Maybe Ferguson's trying to get the advantage of the slipstream and the cleaner side of the road, as well as Mays as well maybe, and Crago is overshot the grid spot by a long mile. Hopefully that doesn't put him at a disadvantage, and Ferguson as well has got reset to the grid box.
Yeah, that disqualification won't hamper him too much because we're already at the grid then, so he had the whole lap to warm up his tyres. His MKP takes his final grid slot with the AlphaTauri JR Mason on the mediums then, so watch out, this could be very interesting with all 3 tyre compounds being used in this race. And there are the lights then to set this Grand Prix away. 5 lights, and now we are underway for the Mexican Grand Prix. It looks like Ross has got a better launch than Craig. Look at the Red Bull then as he tries to get his way past. They're going 4 abreast, just further behind this straight now, as Ferguson has overtaken Craigo. He's on the back of Ross. Will he launch it down the inside? He has to, but you can see late to the brakes. It's Harry Palmer. He's up into P3. It's Harry Palmer side by side now with Craigo, and Harry Palmer has the inside line now. Yellow flags further down. Jay Hartnell's dropping down the field there, and Mazzles is up into P6 ahead of Leon then. So good start there from Ross. He's keeping Ferguson at bay. It's pivotal for Ferguson to move ahead of Ross to make his strategy work then, to make the most of those soft compound tyres. Same with Dat Rollins up into P9. There's a few drivers got off track. Here comes Dat Rollins, sneaks through on Leon up the inside there with Dragon on speed, fights him with Little One. Little One up into P9 then. Where's George? He's up into P12, so Little One has gained a few places from P15 on the grid. Oh, there's a 4 in the wall. He's crashed out, and Dat Rollins there taking too much curb on the entry has crashed out. He's became our first retirement, and that might cause a safety car. It's a VSC.
Yeah, they might change it to a safety car, but I'm not 100% sure. What a launch from Harry Palmer, by the way, down the inside of, I think that was Craigo, getting up to 3rd. What a brilliant start for him. Another good starter was Little Juan, up to 6th, up to 8th even from 14th. But Mays, I don't know what happened to him at the start. He dropped a lot of positions, same as Chris. I mean, speaking about Mays, he's in the pits. Maybe getting off the softs quickly to go on to mediums or hards, and Christoph as well coming into the pits, and MKP as well. It's going to be a double stack, but MKP is going to get held up a little bit because of Mays, and he's got damage. He's had to repair that.
Yeah, MKP they're getting up in the first lap shenanigans as Mays there scheduled pit stop as he wants to get off those soft compound tyres immediately at this Grand Prix then. So let's see then, the VSC then is gone, and we go green once again then. We went green in the slow speed corners, so nobody could gain advantage through there as they all be holding up. Medium from here. Yes, indeed, medium because yeah, you don't want to use the hards. There's no point using the hards now because you've got 2 sets of mediums in their disposal, so you might as well go for the medium, go for the faster strategy. And look at that, you can see Nacho struggling as George Hargreaves takes a lot of the corner, might pick himself a warning there. Very close to the track limits, maybe it was, but George now up into P10 ahead of Williams of Nacho. Nacho losing a place. He gained 2 places inside the top 10, but now he's dropped out of it due to making a mistake. He takes a lot of curve on the entry, which unsettled the car because it's quite bouncy, those curves, those orange curves. You don't want to get it on. But look at Ferguson, and he's right behind Ross now, using the ERS to his advantage as George Hargreaves sets the fastest lap of the race. Now they're going side by side, these two, and you expect Ferguson to be late to the brakes there. He has to get ahead of Ross, but Ross sticks around the outside with the inside line. But Ferguson has the inside line, unless Ross can stick around the outside now. This is clean racing from the two, not suffering from traction whatsoever despite being in a low grip surface here. But Ferguson expected to get a better exit with those soft compound tyres on his car, and he puts him into P1 then, goes a bit deeper to braking and ruins his next corner there. Ross might take advantage up the inside, but he doesn't do so, and Ferguson then takes the lead of this race then. Red Bull last time out won in the Austrian Grand Prix. It was Jay Hartnell. Now we've got a Red Bull leader once again here in Mexico. And Harry Palmer, what an amazing start off the line. Like you said, he went down the inside of Craigo there. I did see him come out of nowhere from P6 to P3 then, so he had an amazing start, and now he's inside the top 3 then. One Alfa Romeo down in P8, the other one up into P3 then, so it's looking good for Alfa Romeo. Oh, Harry Palmer there, a little bit wide coming out of that corner, and that may cost him a warning, so make sure you can't do that more than twice, otherwise he'll pick himself up. A 3-second time penalty. The early stages, look at Little One going down the inside in the penultimate corner. You don't really see moves being made here, but look at Little One there, takes advantage of Leon. I wonder if Leon's got some damage because he's quite slow in the slow speed corners. Is Leon, maybe his setup as well not benefited him, as the top 3 ever so close. Ross takes back the lead of the race as DRS is enabled then, but Ferguson trying to stick around the outside. Dragon Speed has overtaken Leon, the other Alpine. But I think Ross has DRS once again then on this straight, but doesn't get a better exit than Ferguson on those softs. But when he come back at him though, look at the difference in speed. Will Ross try to go around the outside? Yes, he does then, around the outside, which converts, but no, Ferguson blocks past him. What a good defence there from Ferguson to go in the middle of the road and prevent from Ross going down the inside then. But I think Dragler's Speed now has overtaken. He's under pressure from George. He's just overtaken Leon. And Leon there dropping like a stone. Here comes Nacho then alongside him. but not enough room there to go side by side, as Leon there he really is struggling there in the Alpine, so I'm not quite sure what's going on with him because he finished in 3rd place in the sprint.
Yeah, no idea what's happening with Leon, but he's got DRS on George, but he won't be close enough to make a move. But what a nice battle Ferguson-Ross is happening. This is, unfortunately though, brought in Harry Palmer, Craigo, KXI and Mazzles, so this could be a 6-car battle for the lead, possibly.
Yes indeed, mate. Look at Ross, he's dropped out the second of Ferguson. He's currently under pressure. He's still got DRS, by the way, so he just dropped out of it in the final corner. Here comes Harry Palmer. Will he go up the inside of Ross? It's going to be so close between the two. Let's see if they leave each other space, but Ross takes back P2. Ferguson will be loving this. Oh, Harry Palmer almost lost traction coming out of turn number 3 there. Keeps it on the road. Now he's got Craigo for company for the sprint race, and he dropped down to P4, unfortunately. And he doesn't send it, but Harry Palmer goes deep, almost collects the back of Ross. Thankfully he didn't, because he already made contact with somebody in the last race, which was I think it was Chris, who's down into P16 by the way, so Chris has had a horrendous start off the line. By the way, KXI up to P5 from P7, didn't have a good sprint qualifying race, and now he finds himself inside the top 5 then, so recovering really well is the AlphaTauri of KXI. His teammate down in P13 there, 3.8 seconds away, and somebody's dropped out. I think somebody's gone for a spin. It's Leon there. I told you he was struggling, and unfortunately there, his pace in the sprint has dissipated in the race. So unfortunately, one good race, but in this feature race, it's gone bad to worse, unfortunately for him. So front wing lost. He'll be hoping for a safety car.
Yeah, if I were Leon, I'd be hoping for a safety car. He had such a great sprint as well. It's so unfortunate to see him down this far, especially, like as I said, especially after a great sprint, but maybe not doing that well. And Harry down the inside of Ross. Will Ross have the inside? No, he doesn't. Harry up to 2nd, having a brilliant race so far.
Yeah, Harry Palmer, the last few races, not really been up there inside the top 10, but he finds himself here in 2nd place then, so this will be a mega drive from Harry Palmer, because I know in the last few races he's always had some sort of problem when he's had a good qualifying then turned into a bad race. So Harry Palmer's best result was P6 at the Singapore Grand Prix, just scrolling back at the results there while keeping an eye on the race. And in Austria he finished in P15 then, so he didn't score any points here in Austria, but in Mexico City a complete contrast, and now he's fighting for the lead of this race then from Ferguson. So one Alfa Romeo has been dominating throughout the season, and here comes Harry Palmer to keep that record up for Alfa Romeo then. So let's see if he's got the pace now to manage it. He's had decent results now and then. He's had a few spins in races, but he's came back as Dragon on Speed versus George Hargreaves. George Hargreaves, in a place you don't overtake, is up into P8 again, because he did overtake Dragon on Speed before, but Dragon on Speed he overtook him. He's 3.2 seconds behind Little One, and unfortunately for Little One, he's in the DRS train now, and Little One and George Hargreaves, 7 places. They gained 7 places apiece, both of them, so good progress there from Little One and George. But George under threat from Dragon once again, and Dragon there has a good straight line speed advantage in every single race because he loves a low downforce setup. And can he get a decent exit to try and get George Hargreaves back? Yes he can then. You can see the straight line speed. Dragon goes to the left hand side, but can George try to stick him on the outside? Yes he can, as the inside line for this corner, but can Dragon do a switchback, get a better exit out of this corner, using the ERS to get a better launch? George comes into turn number 6 now and stays ahead of Dragon then, so this is good battle between them both, keeping it very clean and respectful. But George now with a better downforce setup can try and stay ahead of Dragon.
Yeah, maybe, but here comes Dragon now in the DRS. Just keeping an eye on Mazzles as well. Really, he's on the back of KXI, but KXI is also on the back of Craigo. But let's go on to the straight now out of the final corner. Ferguson going to the dirty side of the track. You don't really want to do that too much. Harry closing in. He might have the straight line speed advantage to Ferguson. Maybe using a lower downforce setup. But getting really close into turn 1 and turn 2 and now turn 3 out of the corner. Doesn't really get better exit, but Let's see what he can do. Closing, not close enough to make a move though.
Yeah, expect Ferguson at this stage of the race. His tyres will be dying and crying out in this race. So let's see how long he can hold on for the lead. When will he pit? Because his tyres should be dying right about now. His peak performance of those tyres should be gone then. Maybe just a little bit of life there left in those tyres. But you can see that on board with him, his tyres are starting to fade away slightly. You can see the rear tyres evidently so. But however, despite that, he's keeping... Oh, I think he went a little bit wide coming out there. I might pick himself up a 1 and after that one, but you can see there, I don't think he has no chance now because Harry Palmer is tucked in right behind. Harry Palmer knows he doesn't have to take risks against the Red Bull because he's on a 2-slot strategy, whereas Harry Palmer might be on the 1 then, because so he doesn't have to take too many risks here. You just want to take him very cleanly because he knows his tyres are dying then, so you just want a clean straight pass rather than fighting out side by side. But here we go on the straight once again, then Harry Palmer is definitely close. He should be able to overtake the Red Bull with ease, being 2 tenths behind, and he does so. Then he breezes past the Red Bull, and the Red Bull of Ferguson did put up a mighty defence against Harry Palmer, but those soft compound tyres could be coming towards an end, unfortunately for him then. But how long can he stay there? His teammate, however, is putting pressure on the Williams. He actually blasts past the Williams there, 333 kilometers an hour, whereas the Williams was 317 then, so about 50 kilometers an hour difference between the two, and therefore Jay Hartnell was able to take P10 away. Both Red Bulls are different strategies, one's on the softs and the other's on the mediums then, so Jay Hartnell then going for a more durable stint than his teammate, and he's actually set the fastest first sector as well, but Mazzles is right behind KXI. These guys, you know what it's like to be the DRS train, don't you, Glow Stick? It's just so difficult to overtake because you're all carrying the same speed. Oh, what's happened there?
Dragon has spun, unfortunately, but Mazzles as well. Getting too much on the curb for turn 8 and almost spun, nicely saved though by the Haas driver. But now Harry has got a 1.2 second gap to Ferguson. This is exactly what he wants. He wants to leave Ferguson in the dust and lead this race until his next pit stop, basically.
Go for a very long stint on those hardcore power tyres, the most durable tyres with the softs, the most softness, and therefore has very little life in them, especially in the race as well. It's best just for one lap, and Ferguson there, despite lap 10, his tyres, he's doing a very good job. The Aston Martin, I think, has gone for another spin at the pit lane, dragging on speed there, really suffering. We know he likes to go for a low downforce setup. He doesn't pit, so he must have split at the final corner then. I thought he was going to go in the pits, but made a mistake there, but it turns out not to be, and unfortunately he's suffering. But Ferguson there, still hanging on. He's got a healthy amount of EOS at disposal, has Ferguson then, so being dropped outside the 1 second range of DRS, still hanging on in there. He could use his EOS to defend, but I dare say that might not be useful in the next few laps, as Ross in the top 3, the first man to pick up a 3 second time penalty like he did in the sprint race, and now to have big consequences towards the end as he's right in the back of Ferguson. Will he dare go for a move here into this right hander? Ferguson's the inside line, will Ross trying to stick it around the outside, and he had to take avoid action there to make sure he didn't exceed track limits, just slowed down once he was off the track. And look at Ferguson sliding through the corners, and this is a big chance for Ross. KXI, what's happened to him? He's dropping down the order, and he's spun in the slow speed corner. Did he take too much curb? But however, Ferguson has finally got been relieved as he's in the pit lane then to get off those soft compound tyres. He's got DRS though as Ross, but here comes Craig then, obliterating the ERS to try and make his way past Ross. They're going side by side now on this straight, heading down into turn number 1. They'll both have DRS because there's only one detection point in the 2 DRS zones we have on this track, or 3 I must say. What's happened there, mate?
So the little one came into the pits as well. Why? I'm wondering if he maybe hit the back of KXI. Maybe that's what caused him to spin, because he's just coming for the pits for a wing change. So maybe like he did in sprint, outbroken himself a little and hit the back of KXI.
Good theory there, mate, because remember when he hit somebody, it was in the exact same corner, wasn't it?
No, it was a little further back. It was the corner that Harry's coming up to, this right-hander. He hit the back of Ferguson.
Oh, Harry Palmer there. I just went on board with him for a split second. He was understeering off the track then. He went wide, so that could be his second warning because I've seen him do that a few times now. So it's very crucial for Harry Palmer now to stick within the track limits, otherwise he's going to suffer himself a 3 second time penalty. And once you get a 3 second time penalty, You might lose your momentum and head a little bit, might lose your cooler as well, so you got to be very careful because that can ruin everything, because it affects your mind once you get a 3-second time penalty, because you just pick up more and more penalties, especially at a circuit like this. Here comes Ross then, re-overtaken Crago for P2. We did see Crago use a lot of ERS on the last lap, so he might be quite low, hence why Ross was so close to the back of him, and he moves himself back into P2 then. So the problem is with this track, there's only one DRS detection point on this straight for 2 straights, which is the first and second straight obviously, but yeah, if you get overtaken in the first corner you can't come back because the guy ahead of you has DRS then, so you got to defend as much as you can in the first few corners. But here comes KXI then, switching to the inside, but not enough room on that occasion to overtake Ferguson for P6 then. So Ferguson there using the ERS in the corners, which you don't want to do because you're allowed to be your rear tyres then, so you can be very careful to so when you use your ERS at the precise moment, not to use it in the corners because you'll have a lot of power input on the rear end of the tyres to cause your wheel spin, so you don't want to be doing that too often. I've seen a few drivers forget to turn the ERS off and spin in the corners, so that's a learning curve there. But Dragon of Speed picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. Not having the best of races around here, let's go for a low downforce setup every track, but this one proving not to be his friend this time round. We did see in USA put up a nice defence against guys on newer tyres. With the straight line speed advantage he had, was able to keep those guys behind despite being on older tyres. But KXI, this is surely his best chance now to try and overtake Jay Hart now. He should be, shouldn't he, Glow Stick?
Yeah. Yeah, it should be a good opportunity, but he lost the rear end a tiny bit, getting a bit squabbly at turn 17. But I don't think it should matter too much. Of course, you see Jay Hart now, light flashing at the back end. Down the inside, go KXI. A little bit lock up, but he makes the move. Easy peasy.
And Little One further behind is just at the fastest lap, putting pressure on Dragon of Speed then with the difference in tyres. He blasts past the Alfa Romeo, moves himself up into P12. We know he's on a 2-stop because those tyres cannot go towards the end, the medium compound tyres then, so he's got to make another pit stop, which put him at a disadvantage. But like you said, it's not a scheduled pit stop. It was a. Did you see a front wing change, did you say?
Yeah, there was a front wing change.
Yeah, so fortunately there for Little One being a little bit impatient, maybe him being fast in the corners just spooked, well, well, I don't know, but just kind of a bit more speed in the corners caused him to hit the back of the car and not realising the other car was going slower in front of KXI, because we did see it in Singapore where George Hargreaves was kind of a bit more downforce. Little One was going for straight line speed. Little One is spun. Has he? In the middle sector? Oh no! He's lost his wing! Has Little One then. So what a dismal race here at the Mexican Grand Prix. And have you noticed George Hargreaves closing down the gap there between himself and Crago then. So despite crashing out in the sprint, he's coming back for revenge. And he's looking to take away second place because those two are close together once again, Ross and Crago. However, Harry Palmer there leading this race, but it's not over yet because the pace of George is significant for him. So watch out for George later on in this race then, closing him down and looking to take his first win. I think George is looking for his first podium in general because he hasn't got one yet.
Yeah, but yeah, George has he's had a brilliant race so far. Of course, starting 15th alongside Little One, but Little One, his race is just going from bad to worst, putting onto the softs now. Obviously, they won't last to the end of the race, so I'm not sure what his strategy is. But George Hargreaves having a really nice race so far, I have to say. Just getting fortunate with people's misfortunes, and speaking about misfortunes, Jay Hart now has spun out of the first part of the S's.
Yeah, that is really difficult as well, and he goes off the track for good measure. Those mediums are overheated, he's sliding all over the track, and here comes Mays. I like to mention, hold on a sec, Mays will overtake Jay Hart. Maybe let him through because he knows he's sliding through the corner, so therefore I don't want to risk contact while his tyres are just cooling down. After that spin, Crago is right behind Ross then. He overtakes him for P2, and those two will continue their battle because they're both stuck in a DRS train. They can't leave each other alone, can Crago and Ross, but the more these two battle, the more that George Russell closes in on these two ahead of him, Crago and Ross then, so George will be closing in very short. He's actually got DRS now as George, so he'll be part of the battle, but the problem is being third in a DRS train, George will not be able to overtake these two as easily as he would have wanted then, so let's see how he plays it out between these two as these two continue to fight then, Crago and Ross for P2. Ross has got a 3-second time penalty then, which will not pay him dividends towards later on in the race, but what I'd like to mention, where is he? J.R. Mason down to P13 momentarily. I'd say momentarily. It was a few laps where he's inside the top 10. He's came out of the pit lane now to put on a brand new set of hardcore powered tyres, ready to take them towards the end. And I think we've got an Alpine there, or Williams, who's just spun. That is Chris. Miserable race for Chris. He got spun round in the sprint. Oh, is that a puncher? That is a puncher for Chris on the left front tyre. So those tyres have died out with 11 laps then. So maybe it's just took. Oh! Please don't cause a safety car. Just bring it in the pit lane very nice and cleanly there, Chris. You don't want to be causing a safety car to ruin other people's races. But in the pit lane he goes. And now you can see George right behind the Alpine of Ross then, as Chris has actually retired then, so he's called it quits. He could be a lap down anyway, so unfortunate there. But despite having DRS, George is right behind Ross then. Will he make a lunge into turn number 1? We go. Yes, he is. Oh, it's going to be so close. So hopefully he got pinched on the curb there, because Ross there was not going to give him the inside line. And thankfully George Hargreaves just backed out to make sure he didn't go into spin there. Ross there did not want to give George any room in the inside corner. He wanted the inside line for himself, and that could have been close to contact, glow stick.
Yeah, it was a little bit of contact. The left front making contact with the rear right. Fortunate none of them got into a spin. But yeah, late lunge from George there, but very fortunate that both of them are still fighting in this race.
Yeah, they're both going late on the bridge, trying to protect and attack. But Little One set the fastest lap of the race on the soft compound tyres. He's just hoping for a safety car. Obviously, he's not going to go on a brand new set of mediums because he wants to save them later for the race. Hence why he's gone on the softs. Now he's just hoping for a safety car, so we're going to put on those brand new sets of mediums and take them towards the end then. So unfortunately, our championship leader there, been very consistent in the last few races, in fact all season, now finds himself in P15. And it's not everybody's favourite track, is it? So a lot of people have their bad days, and this is one of them for Little One. Hopefully he can come back stronger in the next few races, as he always does. Hence why he's the championship leader. But Harry Palmer there, massive contrast for him, as he's the one that's leading the Grand Prix. So one Alfa Romeo is suffering, the other one's leading the Grand Prix by almost 3 seconds then. So if he wins this Grand Prix, that'll be a mega drive from Harry, despite suffering with spins throughout the season and in qualifying too. So can he keep there, because he knows that George Hargreaves will be on his tail very shortly, but he's stuck in a DRS train himself, desperately trying to overtake Ross so we can get towards Crago and break that DRS train. DRS train's been broken from the top 8 because they were in a big DRS train, but ever since Little One hit the back of KXI, that's when it broken, and therefore they all split between each other. And Mazel's there just 1.7 seconds behind. We know he had the pace in the sprint race, but he's still got a pace, but can't catch up with the DRS train ahead of him. But he would dearly love to be there for a chance of a podium. He's still got a chance for a podium there, because Ross has got a 3-second time penalty. But we're about to see what happens on the straight once again then. George, can he get close behind Ross? Maybe he should save some ERS up later on, so we can attack Ross with a healthy amount of ERS to blast past him, but not on this occasion. It looks like George is now close towards Ross as he drifts away from Crago by 7/10. It's his best chance to overtake him, being so close now. You can see Ross's ERS state. He's got a lot of ERS at his disposal. George is burning, derating on his straight. He's not able to take him. Oh, Willie, that's so close. That's not. You don't want to be making a late launch like that, because that could come into contact. So George has to stay behind for the time being. Ross, however, saving up quite a lot of ERS in his disposal to try and take Crago later on in the race.
Yeah, George again with a late lunge. Unfortunately, not close enough to make a move, but surely it should happen soon, right? Like George making the move on Ross. Maybe George should just save a little of ERS instead of wasting it, because what I'm noticing is that Ross isn't even using his ERS and he's still managing to maintain the gap. And George going a bit wide there. That's really unfortunate from George there, but this has brought Mazel into a possible top 4.
Yes, George. Just needs to be a bit more patient, and he knows he's got the DRS, so he shouldn't push too hard in the corners, because he'll gain no benefit from that, but George just needs to keep his head while in these battles there. He's actually dropped out of the DRS range now of Ross, so Ross is free from George. Ross can put pressure on Craigo, who saved up a lot of ERS being behind him. Will he attack him now into turn number 1? He pulls to the left hand side. Will Craigo go late to the brakes? Yes, he will then. So we're going to go side by side into T1, headed into T2, and Ross has the inside, in fact the racing line, to block him for the exit at turn number 3 then. But Craigo will not get DRS because there's only one detection point for 2 DRS zones, the first and second straight there. So Ross there benefited from DRS and able to stay ahead of Craigo now. But George Hargreaves then needs to be a bit more patient, just to be a bit more consistent. Maybe these tyres are coming towards the end, because bearing in mind that he's taking these hards quite a long time, and maybe he's suffering in comparison to others. Maybe he's suffering a bit more than the rest ahead of him.
Yeah, possibly, but this is Harry. What Harry's wanting right now is for them to be battling, so he can maintain a bigger gap. It's staying around 3 seconds to about 2.7, but I reckon he'll want a bigger gap.
Yeah, he would do as well, especially from the undercut threat waited to happen on brand new sets of mediums. But however, it keeps extending or just hovering around 2.7, 2.8, crucially out of the DRS zone. But George Hargreaves then pulls the trigger. I was about to say, George is actually gaining once again on Craigo, and ever since he's been gaining on those two, I was going to say it was going to bring Mazzles back into play, because Mazzles was in the DRS range of George, and if George was in the DRS range of Craigo and Ross, Mazzles would be able to stick in that DRS train too. But now that opportunity has gone away as MKP picks up a 3-second time penalty. George, will he rejoin ahead of Ferguson? Maybe. He's going to be so close on the exit between those two. Here comes George out of the pit lane. Has he got ahead of Ferguson? Ferguson's blasted his ERS to move himself up, but Craigo's got past Ross, and they're coming down into turn number 4 then. Apologies about the noise in the background, that'll soon disappear. Somebody just came into the house. But however, Craigo is up into P2 now ahead of Ross. These two should stop battling, because they've got to respond to the George undercut there, haven't they, Glue Stick?
Yeah, they have to, but kind of crucial, I reckon, for Ferguson to get ahead there. But of course, I reckon Ferguson will make one more pit stop, because if I'm correct, he started on the softs, didn't he? As he's gonna look.
What happened there? Did you mute your mic, Glow Stick?
No, that's definitely me lagging.
Oh. But it's crucial for George to get past Ferguson now. Maybe not in this corner.
God damn it.
What's happened? Are you there? We can still hear you, by the way, if you're going to swear. Oh, George's going to go on the inside into this tight left-hander. Can he do it though? Ferguson's still there. Yes, he can. So that was crucial for George not to get stuck behind. But bearing in mind though, Ferguson will have the DRS. Will he re-overtake him? Glowstick's left. So that's why he said, God damn it. And he's actually left the session, unfortunately for him. Hopefully he's got another invite to get back in the session. So Glowstick, my co-commentator, has left the session and left the party too. There's Craigo, as you can see, and George Hargreaves has not got ahead of Craigo. And now, where is he was fighting, let me have a look. Ferguson, yeah, Ferguson in P7. Where is he? Leon down in P10. I'm actually lost now. So Ross has stayed out there. I was looking for Ross. I wonder what happened to him. So he's actually stayed out there. Craigo pitted before him, and now Ross has stayed out there for an extra lap. So it gives George another chance to undercut, but George is so close that Glowstick has rejoined the party. Can you join back the session, mate? Apologies about that one. If you, yeah, we did hear you say God damn it. We did hear you say God damn it when you left the party.
Yeah, it was weird what happened there, but hopefully that doesn't happen again. For what happened to me, for some reason, it looked like Ferguson went deep and then hit the wall. Yeah,
Ferguson's still in this race.
Yeah.
But to bring you back up into context then, what's happened? Ross has just pitted, and now Craigo's going to go side by side. Here comes George Hargreaves then. Will he take on Ross? Yes he can then, with the help of DRS. Will he overtake Craigo into turn number 1? We go! He might take 2 for 1 by overtaking Ross, and now goes side by side with Craigo into turn 2. Going into turn number 3, he has DRS there. Can he get a decent exit there? but as you can see then, too far back I dare say to make a move on Craigo. Craigo's greatest defensive has stayed in P3 then, so that's a good defence there from Craigo to keep George at bay. But bearing in mind though, crucially, George has split Ross and Craigo then, so he's no longer third in the DRS trade, he's second then, so that'll benefit him a lot. I'm pitted earlier, and despite pitting 2 laps earlier, Ross hasn't lost a lot of time though, so he's got 2 laps fresher tyres. Maybe to you that sounds like nothing, but in the game it can mean quite a lot, because 2 laps difference, I don't know how to describe it, it's just the game, how this game works with the tyres. 2 laps difference is a lot in this game, so I might bring him back closer towards the end of this race. But crucially then, Harry Palmer still remains in P2 as Mazzles hasn't pitted yet, so Mazzles going for a long stint then on those hard compound tyres, longer stint in comparison to the rest of them. If a safety car came out now, it would benefit him. But however, on the straight once again, Glowstick, you back?
Trying.
Craigo
Trying to rejoin.
Yeah, Craigo, I think Harry Palmer and Craigo pitted on the same lap, and Craigo's actually brought the gap down to 2 seconds now, has Craigo there. So Craigo is flying on this second stint, the gap is 1.7 then, so will Harry Palmer be under threat now? Craigo's responded, because the gap was almost 3 seconds, now it's 1.8 between the two. So can Craigo close down Harry Palmer for the lead of this race? Bearing in mind, if he does that, he will bring along George and Ross to the party, and that'll put Harry Palmer under massive pressure as he will become the DRS train. So he's got to crucially stay out of the 1 second range of DRS, got to make sure he doesn't make any mistakes. This has been a fantastic drive from Harry Palmer. He should be very pleased with himself for this one. Keep it up, because he started down in P6, currently leading this race as well, after Ferguson pitted early after getting rid of those soft compound tyres, currently down in P6. And maybe that two-shot strategy hasn't gone to his advantage so far in this race. He pitted on the hard compound tyre. Maybe should have gone soft, medium, but maybe he chose the softer strategy, as Mazzles is in the pit lane then, so he ends his medium stint, his hard stint, as Leon picks up a 3-second time penalty. Interestingly, both Alpines there not having particularly the best race despite having a double podium. But they did have a 3-second time penalty as KXI gets a 3-second time penalty. I think Leon's gone for a spin further down the field. Yeah, he has. And unfortunately for him, drops into P12. Both Alpines finished on the podium in the sprint race. But now here they're struggling. One's in P12 and the other one's got a 3-second time penalty, being third in the DRS train, with Mazzles dropping further behind. 3.9 seconds behind. Glowstick is joined back once again, so hopefully he can get back in the session, mate. We need you.
Yep. I'm joining right now.
So for context, once again, Craigo's actually pulled the gap down to 1.5 as Leon's retired in the pit lane then, so no safety cars in this race just yet. But Craigo's 1.3 now. Harry Palmer has to find some pace, otherwise the guys behind will have DRS on him. So wherever Harry's pace is gone, Craigo looks like he's found some on the medium stint, and now he's pulling the gap down then. So if Craigo gets in the DRS, this will be a massive advantage, because he won't be the DRS provider towards George and Ross. He'll have DRS himself, protecting himself against George and attacking Harry later on in the race then. So Craigo there got some decent pace, but George is all over the back of him. You don't want to be hitting that inside curb, because that slow speed curb will send you off into the wall. Just got to be patient. Someone tell him to be patient, because patience is not his virtue, unfortunately for him, and he's lost a lot of time despite that as well. So he's going to be very patient, has George Hargreaves there, because he can be quite rash sometimes, hence why he makes these mistakes. But Craigo there quite far ahead then, not to be pressured by George, who's actually in the territory of Ross, as we can see a Red Bull coming out of the pit lane. That is Jay Hart now, our last week's race winner. Unfortunately can't continue his momentum in Mexico. 2 completed tracks, of course, and that's probably why he's struggling. Maybe Mexico is not his favourite track whatsoever, not a lot of people's favourite track. But George, once again, getting close. Are you back in the session?
Yeah, I'm back in the session. I saw George getting really close to Craigo there, almost making contact.
George just needs to be patient there, can't afford to outbreak himself, can't afford to make mistakes like this, otherwise all his good work, like in the last few races, will be put down the drain once again then. So patience needs to be added into his vocabulary there, just to be nice and patient. But saying that though, Craigo is pulling the gap down then, so he knows he has to overtake Craigo to make sure Craigo doesn't get DRS himself, because the gap is 1.2 then. So Craigo is in close range of Harry Palmer. Harry Palmer looks like he made a mistake at that slow speed corner, so gotta make sure then Harry Palmer, it's 1 second now. Craigo might have DRS on the straight, I think he will. Well, let's have a look, shall we? No, he doesn't. Not in this straight, has Craigo. But he's in the DRS trade now. So if he stays in this, you can see Harry Palmer is deracing then. So all his good work on the hard compound tyres. What's happened to Red Bull there? I just saw him go on the grass there. Is that Jay Hart now? Yeah, he went on the grass of the straight. Did Jay Hart now? Maybe forget where the track is, but yeah, you can see there Craigo will not have DRS the straight because one detection point for 2 straights then. So this might be a race changer for Craigo then.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed, but Ross got another penalty.
Oh dear.
Taking his total to 6. Yep, 6. So you don't want any more of those, otherwise it could maybe ruin his race. Well, not ruin it, obviously, but don't want to be dropping down too many positions.
Oh, Red Bull there. Jay Hart now has spun. I did see him disappear off the track on the straight, and he was going for a spin in the wall. I know he's actually lost his wing as well, so unfortunate for him there. Lots of people have crashed there as well. I've seen a few drivers losing their wings at that particular part of the track, and none of them retired, I think, in that corner. I think George was the only one that retired out of all of them. As Jay Hart now, I thought George picked up a penalty because he went wide, and somebody picked up a penalty once he went wide, so I thought George actually picked up a penalty there, and thankfully he didn't. I think Jay Hart now was coming in the pit lane to retire because he's extending, so he's going to come back in the pit lane to retire. That's what people do once they extend. They just want to retire. As Dragon of Speed picks up a 3-second time penalty now. I think George has got a lot of straight line speed slapped on that Mercedes there. Hence why he's struggling, because he actually was close to being overtaken by Ross, who's flying down the straight. He's got a lot of ERS saved in his disposal because he's quick in the corners, evidently. This is like Singapore all over again. He's quick in the corners, but when he comes onto the straight, he's just almost a sitting duck. Look, he's got DRS in the back of Craigo to defend from Ross. And J.R. Mason finds himself inside the top 10 then, so this is going to be his 3rd consecutive top 10 finish if he keeps it here. He's got Dragon of Speed to contend with. He's on brand new set of medium compound tyres. Craigo has picked up a 3-second time penalty, and now it's going to have big consequences towards the end of the race. His chance to winning is slim now, but look at him, he's flying, is Craigo, just carrying a lot of speed in the corners, and Harry Palmer there just can't match him as Mazzles gets the 3-second time penalties. Look at that. Look at that, guys. 2 people inside the top 6 haven't got a 3-second time penalty then. So Harry Palmer, his race not might be over yet because guys behind have penalties. So as long as Harry doesn't get any himself, he should be okay, should he, Glowstick? But look at George.
Yeah, he should be safe, but Harry may be cracking under pressure here from Craigo. Going down the straight, will Craigo make a move? Round the outside he goes. He'll have the inside for the next corner. Will he have the move done? No, he won't. Nice defending from Harry there. But here comes George, making it 3 wide almost. George up to 2nd.
He's got on the grass.
Look at George round the outside. He goes, and he's 3 wide. That's not going to work.
And look at that, there's an RP on the outside as Harry Palmer's made contact there with Ross. Ross is up into 2nd place and going 3 wide on that straight. You just need to be patient. That's what it is. You can't. George Hargreaves is just too optimistic, too tenacious there is George, and that's what it cost him. But he wanted to make that move evidently, but hopefully he didn't sustain any damage because he had no intention of backing off, because Harry Palmer, George now has a big chance of winning this Grand Prix because he's the only one has a picked up a penalty inside the top 6 then. So as George knows he hasn't got penalties, Little One, our championship leader, unfortunately has retired from this race then. His track, he's not his favourite track at all, unfortunately for him. But now what is crucial in this race, George can win if he doesn't pick up a 3-second time penalty himself. He's got a big advantage. He needs to think about it too. We know he's too tenacious around any track he goes around and whatever race he's in. But now he's got a big advantage. He shouldn't have to fight too hard with the top 2. But it was very sketchy, like McConey said. I didn't have a full idea what was going on because the Ross came around the outside out of nowhere. Harry Palmer's pace has just disappeared after he got off those hards. I'm not quite sure where his pace went. He's going to be absolutely fuming there, unfortunately for Harry Palmer. P4 is a good result, but obviously not what he wants. Keep an eye on Mazzles then. He's got the youngest set of tyres inside the top 5, so watch out for him in the end because he'll be flying. But Harry Palmer there had a lot of good pace on those hard compound tyres, but where did it go? on the medium stint. It just disappeared, unless these three got quicker and Harry Palmer got slower. I'm not quite sure. Oh, George there! Almost, he went off the track and exceeded track limits there, so can't afford to take too much risk. And George, this is why a lot of people take the mick out of him, because it just seems to bottle it when he has a big chance.
Yeah, but I think that's really unfortunate for Harry there. Of course, he was just a sitting duck on the straight, and then obviously it was 3 wide for 2 corners where you don't want to go 3 wide. It's just really unfortunate for Harry, and obviously he had the half spin as well after being in the middle of Ross and George. Just really unlucky, and Ross has made a move for the lead down into turn 1, but I reckon Harry will still get third, because if I'm correct, yep, Ross has a 6-second time penalty, so as long as Harry stays in the 6-second gap, or the 3-second gap of Ross, he'll have a chance of a podium.
And being the DRS train will help him, because actually... Oh, Harry Palmer! Lost traction coming out turn number 4. I was going to say, he's in the DRS train, but I think he might get a bit frustrated now. Maybe lose his head a little bit after what happened a few laps ago. And Harry Palmer, an innocent victim there, couldn't really move anywhere because he had the Craig on his left, Harry Palmer on the right, Ross around the outside. But yeah, he's had a lot going on in the space of 1 lap. He didn't know where to go. Put the car... Oh, George! Completely bottled it once again. 3-second time penalty for George. He just keeps ruining his chances of winning. Does George Hargreaves just pushes too hard when he doesn't have to?
Yeah.
I know he wants to win on merit on the track, but at the same time, long term wise, what's going to happen now in this race with Ross defending the inside line? Craig knows he's got a big chance of winning now because everybody's got penalties with Ross on 6, so they're no longer even on penalties. Craig's got the high ground in front of everybody because he's got the DRS in the back of Ross, can use him for the DRS train, get to protect himself against George. But yeah, George will be fuming with that one, knowing he had a chance of winning from starting P16 on the grid, and now he's bottled it once again.
Yeah,
this is the 5th time in a row.
George there. Yeah, he's not really having the most luckiest of seasons. He's gotten really unlucky and really unfortunate. He's just, as you say, maybe wanting to win on merit, but yeah, you just got to think long term and think, if I don't get any penalties, I could win this race. But no, he wants to win it on track.
I know it's always nice to win on the track, but at the same time, you can't be abusing the track limits like that. You know, you've got to use all the track to get the best performance out of the car and have the most pace, but you just got to be very, very patient. But I can see Craig did start to struggle in the middle sector there, and now that pushes him towards George Hargreaves. But bear in mind though, George's straight line speed has not really been that great then, and he's 3 tenths behind. Theoretically, if you're 3 tenths behind a car in a straight like this, you should be able to overtake him, but as you can see there, Craig, despite not using the ERS, he's already got more kilometers on George on this straight then, so you can see Craig's straight line speed is really helping him push away from George. Oh, look at this, he's going to go down the inside and make contact, and Craig sends him to a spin. Here comes Harry Palmer, and he's up into P3. That's ruined a lot of things now for Craig, but bearing in mind though, Ross has got a 6-second time penalty, and here comes Mazzles then, out of nowhere, will overtake Harry Palmer down the inside. He goes to defend, and all 3 of them make contact there. All 3 of them late to the brakes. This is getting a bit messy now between these guys, just all being impatient, just lost their heads, all 3 of them there, because Mazzles wasn't in a position to overtake George. Harry Palmer was already on the left to overtake Mazzles. Mazzles went late to the brakes, maybe he wanted to avoid hit the back of George, but this is complete chaos now. Not seen this happen for a long time.
Yeah, this has gotten really messy now. I don't know who is at fault there for Harry, George and Mazzles, but Harry now up to 3rd. It could be a 2nd place for him, but Ross has now got a 3-second gap to Craigo.
And his RP teammates left the session, unfortunately, after getting a podium in the sprint race. But I dare say, I think Mazzles was the one. I know they're carrying a lot of speed with DRS down the straight, but at the same time, you've got to be very careful with your braking point too, and got to adapt to that situation. But Mazzles there went left with Harry Palmer because he went to go defensive, but actually outbroke himself, and therefore made an unintentional move on George, and all three of them went into contact. So George is actually innocent in that little incident there, but not ideal. That's put Harry back up to P3 now, and Harry could still win this race because he's got Craigo in his sights and has DRS at the back of Craigo. Craigo doesn't have DRS anymore because it all unfolded after George made contact with Craigo, and a few words will be exchanged between those drivers. Ross benefited, but still has a 6-second time penalty on his name. He won't win this Grand Prix unless something major happens between these two. He might finish, what, in P... Let's have a look at the gap to leader, shall we? Where would he finish? Could finish in P4 actually with Ross, so it's not ideal for him, but still won't lose a lot of positions, only 2 to put him off the podium. So he needs to make sure that he gets that gap over 6 seconds between himself and George to stay in P4, not lose a lot of positions to add off a good race for him. But Harry Palmer now is in the DRS range of Craigo, and I dare say the race standards might have to be reiterated for these drivers there. They are tier 3, they are learning all of them, but yeah, it's got a bit messy now, and George Hargreaves will be under big pressure from Mazzles. Remember, these two fought for the lead of the race at the sprint, but Mazzles had the gearbox problems and George crashed out of the race as well, so these two are back together but in different circumstances.
Yeah, different circumstances. Hopefully none of them have the problems that they had in the sprint, but Harry now has a 4/10. It's closing in to Craigo, now down to 3/10, but extending through the S's. Maybe, I think Harry has a little bit lower downforce than Craigo, and then obviously George has the higher downforce, which is really bad on the straights because there is one massive long straight obviously, so that's gonna make him like really vulnerable. But now we come out of the final corner. Will Harry make a move for possibly second as we're on to the penultimate lap of this race? Let's see, Harry's closing. Will he get it done before the corner? Yes, he will. Up to second goes Harry Palmer. But will Craigo make a move back on him? No, he decides to stay back.
And Harry Palmer has DRS. Craigo goes off the track, then can't afford to have another penalty because that would ruin his chance. Remember, these two have a potential chance of winning this Grand Prix because Ross has a 6-second time penalty then. So Craigo can't afford to pick up another penalty because he's still got a chance of overtaking Harry Palmer. Looks like he's struggling in these corners though. Harry Palmer's pulled a gap at 1 second crucially. This is crucial for Harry Palmer because this race win was unlikely a few laps ago. He's back up into P2. We can see Mazzles in the background putting pressure on George Hargreaves for P4. But Harry Palmer, that despite losing a lot of positions after contact was made, he is back in contention of winning the Grand Prix again. After it was very unlikely, as George picks up another 3-second time penalty then, and that'll drop him down into P5. Mazzles will get him for sure on penalties, if not on the track, because he's close behind. But here comes Ross then. Unfortunate, picking up a 6-second time penalty, but going to keep it within the track limits to win it. And here comes Ross then, right in the final corner to start his last lap of the Grand Prix. Harry Palmer has dropped Craigo out of his DRS range then, so this is crucial now for Harry Palmer not to pick up a penalty, not to lose it, because he's on course to winning his first race in CRL. He dominated the first stint. Here in the background we can see Mazzles versus George Hargreaves. Mazzles on those medium compound tyres, fresher than George, moves himself up into P4. And he might be on course for taking a podium because he's not too far behind, is he? Oh, he's 6.9 behind Ross. So unfortunately for him, he will not pick up his third consecutive podium of the season here in Cone. But he goes a bit deep in the braking zone, but has the inside out for the next corner. George might not have the traction due to older tyres. He's right up alongside him. But Harry Palmer then needs to keep it nice and tidy. He doesn't have to push because the gap is 3.3. There's no need to push now. He's got the gap over Craigo. Can't afford to pick up another penalty because that'll definitely ruin his chances of winning this Grand Prix. Keeps it nice and clean in the most difficult part of the section. He makes his way now into the final few corners of this last sector. The victory will go to Ross, only by 3 seconds though, to celebrate his victory before Harry Palmer makes his way around the final corner. We can see the Alpina Ross then. Here he comes to take provisional the race win against Harry Palmer, but Harry Palmer wins the Mexican Grand Prix ahead. No, he doesn't. What's happened there? What happened? Did he get a penalty?
He wasn't close enough.
No, he had a. Oh, Oh, my mistake there. My mistake. My mass has gone out the drain, unfortunately. Yeah, that was my big mistake there. 6 second penalty. Ross had. Harry Palmer had 3. My mass was completely gone out the drain.
Yeah. But nonetheless, still a brilliant result for Ross and Harry Palmer. Of course, both of their teammates retiring out of this race, one doing better than the other. Both Little One and Leon having really unfortunate races. Leon had a really good sprint though. That's basically the only thing he can take out of this weekend.
Yeah, I just reflected on my mass there because that was horrendous mass from me. I kept thinking that when you said 6, that's a lot of penalties. I didn't realise that the guys behind also had penalties as well. So that's my big mistake on mass there. A bit embarrassing, but oh well, we move. Mistakes happen, just like in this race. Congratulations to Ross then, winning that Grand Prix. He finished the podium and he takes maximum points here at the Mexican Grand Prix. Craig will finish in P2 and Harry Palmer in P3 then. So KXI had a quiet race. He got spun round by Little One, but finished in P5 still. Mays, his progress has not been undergone by me. He did a fantastic job in P7 there. We didn't mention much of Mays in the race, like in Austria. So he's gone quiet in this race because a lot of things happened not around him. But shout out to him in P7. Neon, that's I'm looking at the wrong results once again. Sorry about that. Here it is, race results. Yeah, I'm looking at the wrong results once again. My bad for that one. He finished in P. I'm actually looking at the wrong results again. Well, there we go. He finished in P8 this time. Yeah, he finished in P8 with no penalties on the board. Gets himself inside the top 10. Quiet race from him in P8 there. Nacho from P30 to P7. George Hargreaves from P15 to P5. And a lot of drivers in this race picked up a lot of penalties, so not ideal for those drivers. But we're going to go for podium interviews then to interview Ross, Harry and Craigo. Ross as a friend if he wants to. A lot went on in this race and there's plenty to reflect as well, so I have to rewatch it all to try and see and pinpoint what happened in that race exactly. But a lot of contact in the last few laps of that race, and that's where it all unfolded for some drivers of potential winning the Grand Prix, especially for Harry there. Got caught up in a sandwich. Apologies about that, my fire alarm's going off.
Yeah, that's fine, but a lot of so
I'm back. Hopefully Ross has accepted my friend request. So Harry Palmer wants me to do podium interviews, but doesn't want to join. Craigo doesn't really join the interviews, only if he wins a championship or races, so he won't join. Ross hasn't accepted my friend request. There's Harry Palmer right now. Ross says he's too shy to do podium interviews. No worries, mate, I understand. It's okay. But Ross, if you can hear this, great job on a 6-second time penalty and extending the gap over Harry Palmer. So, if you're watching, good drive, mate, and congratulations on the win. But Harry Palmer then has joined the party. Mixed emotions for you, Harry, because I know how you feel. What happened on the medium stint? Because you had a good gap over the hard runners at the start of the race, but once you switched over to the mediums, your pace just dissipated a bit. Tell us what happened.
I used all my ERS in the first stint, which kind of messed me up for the second, and then I had an incident which I think lost me the lead and the win. But yeah, nothing I can do about that.
And explain to us what happened in the corners between you, George, Ross, and Craigo, because that was all a bit argy-bargy there, wasn't it?
I had a bad exit out of turn 3, and Mazzles came up behind me, tried to overtake me on the right, got blocked off by George and swung in front of me, and then made me lose the position to Ross. And yeah, just lost the position to Ross and Craigo. Got Craigo back, but not enough to get Ross back, so I don't know what I can do about that. But
You fell down into P6. Did you feel like your chances of a podium were over?
not really, because I had Ethan, thank you, I had Ethan messaging me, well, in the party with me, sorry, giving me help on ERS and how the tyres are, so.
But just want to say, I was hoping you'd win the race because I know you've been unlucky this season, and P2 is still a really good result, so maybe one better than the next one?
Hopefully, yeah. I have a good pace around Jeddah, to be honest.
Oh, Jeddah's next, can't wait for that one. But congratulations on P2, mate.
Thank you.
It was a bit of a dramatic race, but close to good. Any questions for Harry?
Yeah, just how come, Harry, right? You have had, I don't know what this season's stats are like, but I don't know where you are. But the one race I commentate for, you somehow get on the podium and don't bottle it. How? Like, just how?
This is probably one of the tracks, along with Jeddah and a few others, which I could have got a few good racing like France. It's just, I suit my driving style a bit better. The tracks I've done better in are the tracks that are just straight lines and a few turns. Mexico's a very fast track, which I think got the advantage over hard for steering wheel drivers. Yeah, it felt quite nice actually, doing something good.
Yeah, you had a really good race, and maybe you're just trying to impress me, you know.
No, not like that.
Yeah, Harry, I'm watching the lap 32 incident between you and Craigo. You did bump and then you had muzzles coming at you and George Hargreaves. You fell down to P6, but yeah, that incident between you, Mazzles, and George. Then, what's your point of view of that? Because in my opinion, I think Mazzles was avoiding George in that corner turn before. They turned left into you, and you both turned left.
I've spoke to Mazzles already. He has apologised and he's accepted that it's an accident, but it's more. Yeah, I think he went to avoid George, but didn't realise I was still there attacking, which put me across. And then Ross was obviously we were slow, so Ross took the position. I turned left because I had nowhere to go, and yeah, I lost the position.
I think you made contact twice with George because the first corner as well, he sent you sideways, didn't he? Or was that Craig? I can't quite remember who it was.
I don't know.
I think it was Ross on the left, and then he went a little bit wide after the contact, and then Harry in the middle, and then George trying to go down the inside.
Yeah, I got stuck in the middle. Craig going in front, George and Mazzles on the right, and then Ross on the left. So I had nowhere to go. Luckily, I didn't get damage, but it's been Craig was spinning sideways, I think.
You got caught up in a sandwich there. You were filling in a sandwich, so you had nowhere to go really, did you?
I had nothing I could do there.
But looking at the positive side, you had some decent pace and your consistency was great as well in this race as well. So you should be happy. I know you don't want P2, but in the last lap of the race, yeah, how was your heart rate? How was Did you keep your cool in that last lap? No, you could have got a win because you're only a few tenths behind of a potential win from Ross.
Oh, anything from like 5, my heart rate was at least 100. As soon as I overtook, I think it was Ferguson.
Yeah.
For the lead, my heart rate shot up, knowing that I could have won it, and then that happens, unfortunately. But it is what it is.
It is what it is, unfortunately for you, but hopefully one better in Saudi Arabia. Your teammate had misfortunes, but you were there to get Alfa Romeo with the big points, so hopefully your teammate can come back stronger too, because he's lost out a lot of points now, hasn't he, towards Ross in the championship, or Mazzles. Yeah, Mazzles.
Yeah. Since he's been using my setups, he's started to go in a bit downhill. But
yeah,
clearly worked for me.
Yeah, cheers, Harry, mate. Thanks for joining the party together. Craig doesn't join because he only joins when he wins races or or wins the championship. But Ross, congratulations on your win if you are listening. I saw your comment in the section, so once again, Ross, congrats on the win. You had a 6-second time penalty, but you extended the gap over Harry, kept it clean, and avoided all the incidents that went on between those drivers further behind you. So congrats on the win once again, mate. And hopefully you can continue, because I know you're fifth in the championship, so you might close in on the likes of Velocio Jr. You will overtake him for sure, and Dragon of Speed, so you get past those two, and you may be closer towards Mazzles as well. So it's looking good for you, Ross. Move up to P3 the championship.
Velocio doesn't race anymore. He's lost his seat.
Yes, so Ross, you'll definitely overtake Velocio with the championship and Dragon of Speed, so move up 2 places to third, so you should be feeling good about that one. I think it's your second win of the season, isn't it, Ross? So congratulations to you on your second win, is it, if I'm correct? Last time you won the race was the Dutch GP. Did you win any more before or after that? So this is your second win of the season, so congrats then, Ross, and good luck for Saudi Arabia. By the way, I'm not talking to myself. For those wondering, Ross is in the comments, so he's hearing me on the stream right now. Thanks, mate. Here's hoping continues into the last 2 races. Good luck in the next 2 races, Ross, and to you, Harry Palmer.
Thank you.
And we'll ride it off there then. So, Glowstick, first appearance here. What's your first impressions?
Very, like, a lot of great racing, a lot of interesting battles as well. Be wanting to make more appearances in the future, definitely.
We can sort that out. It'd be nice to have you.
To be honest.
Great insight in the race, Glowstick. I really enjoyed commentating with you for the first time.
Thank you, mate, and I enjoyed commentating with you.
More to come in the future between me and Glowstick for Tier 3 here in Co-Racer League, but before we go, we've got Tier 1 action at the Mexican Grand Prix, which will start at 8:30. Make sure you tune in with me and Steve on there for the Mexican Grand Prix. Hopefully a good one as well. After Pyro won last time out, it wasn't Pyro, was it? I can't actually remember who won. It was only a week ago, that's how bad my memory is. Who won in Tier 1, Harry, if you're still there?
I can check. It was... Scroll to the bottom now. It was... I can't even check, it won't load.
I've got it on my screen, so...
Aurelian.
Yeah, it was Aurelian who won the Austrian Grand Prix after... Yeah, chaotic race in that one where lots of things happened between those guys. Troye finished in P2 and Tony finished in P3 after taking away a podium from Nathan then. That's when I went high pitched in that race, wasn't it?
I watched that one.
Anyways, we'll ride it off here. Thanks for joining me for Tier 3. Join us back for next Monday for the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. We'll be live again on Cone for Tier 1 at 8:30.